Hey guys, Edgar here, Guns for Everyone. Today, I want to have a conversation about something a little bit more sensitive in nature, and that's suicide prevention, and gun ownership. One of the things that we advocate for and we push for a lot, as much as we possibly can, is responsible gun ownership. Yes, guns are an awesome tool for freedom. Guns are an awesome tool for self-defense, but risks are involved with owning a gun, and part of that risk is accidental injuries and suicide, and that's a conversation that needs to be had. Now, it gets had a lot more than what it used to. I happen to be part of the advisory board for firearms injury prevention initiative here in the state of Colorado, and they have a lot of great resources. Let me do it this way. They have a lot of great resources right here. Go check it out. Yes, it is part of the state of Colorado. A little bit of reluctance when I was asked to join something that was ran by a government entity, but I one of the things that I appreciate about them is that they don't get involved in policy in any way, shape, or form. The people that run this, they're not interested in politics. They're interested in just how can we solve issues at a community level, right? Not at a policy level, not at a politician level, but at a community level. And really, that's one of the reasons why I was asked to get involved. So if you need resources, tada, Walk the Talk America, also a fantastic resource. If you're an instructor, they have resources here for instructors. But again, a lot of great resources right there. Walk the Talk America. Um, I want to focus this not just about this, but also about, well, what happens if I'm in a moment of crisis. We were just doing some filming, and we were having some discussions with these groups, and a lot of what was talked about is storing your guns outside of the house, and the laws, and how it gets iffy sometimes with the laws. And I understand in some circles you don't want to touch on stuff that is leaves you vulnerable potentially for liability. So in other words, you have an issue with um, saying certain things and then getting sued for saying certain things, or the government saying certain stuff and taking away the funding. I couldn't give two fucks. So if we're going to talk about suicide prevention, one of the things that we must admit is that sometimes you have to break the law, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with sitting here, and I'll take the hit for it. I don't care if because the conversation gets had about, well, how long can a family member hold a gun for me if I'm feeling sad, if I'm feeling depressed, and I take the gun to a family member, how long? And I'm like, okay, as long as it fucking takes. If you guys are breaking the law, one, I don't know why the fuck you guys are telling on each other. But I'm of the mind that if you feel that someone's gonna die, commit suicide, or be a danger to themselves or others, you personally have the responsibility to try and prevent that as best as you can. You can't prevent it 100%, nor is it your fault if something does happen. But we also can't tiptoe around the laws, right? There's certain laws in the state of Colorado. There's certain laws around the United States that says you probably have to do a gun transfer, and you can't hold the gun, and you can't do this, that, or the other. And for me, it's like, if it comes to, I believe my son is going to commit suicide, I'm going to break any fucking law that needs to be broken so that my son doesn't commit suicide. If my brother, my sister, my cousin, my whatever is going to potentially commit suicide, and I have a reason to believe that they're going to use a gun or anything else, really, but I'm a firearms guy, so I'm going to talk about firearms. I don't much care about the fucking law. I really don't. Again, you use your own judgment, and you do what you feel is best. But if you think somebody's in a moment of crisis, or you yourself are in a moment of crisis, don't give a fuck about the laws. Who gives a shit about the laws? Who gives a fuck about the ATF? Who gives a fuck about that? And I understand some of you are like, well, the ATF is going to do stuff and big mean stuff. And like, yeah, I guess so. Maybe and maybe not. But I think I will deal with the consequences and the judge and the prosecution team instead of having to bury a loved one. I don't feel that me catching a charge on some bullshit is is going to trump somebody potentially dying. So that's that. The other thing is, if you're worried about the potential ramifications of you transferring firearms, or legalities or whatever, one of the things that you can do is very simply, you take a gun, right? Like if you feel like somebody, like make sure that somebody else verifies it, you verify it, and then you take this firearm. I like this one right here, the Avidia Arms PD10, because all I have to do is pull down on the takedown levers. Usually you have takedown levers right there. And then I press the trigger. This is why it's super important not to have ammunition anywhere near there. And then now I take this motherfucker. Now I'm like, keep away. Like I'm going to play keep away. Or you take this one. This one, usually this one's the one with the serial numbers and stuff like that. This part right here. Usually this is the one with the serial numbers. So if you're worried about legalities, if I take all of this and then if I can play keep away with this and hide this or give this to family members, now I'm doing a transfer of parts. I can even go further, and this is a spring right here, the recoil spring. In most guns, it's relatively easy to take off. If you've got like a 1911 older, it might be a little bit more difficult. And then now, like I'm going to take these parts right here. Ta-da! I'm going to take the barrels, and then that's it. If you have a bolt action rifle, you can take those apart, take the bolt, and then now I take the bolt, or some other mechanism, the firing pin, whatever. Like I can disassemble a gun and then not have to worry about the laws anymore, not have to worry about going to jail anymore. Now, this is not a video to talk about how to take down a gun or anything. Like there's plenty of YouTube videos on that. But like this one right here, this is another, it's just different type. Again, make sure somebody verifies it. If you guys are agreeing on this, or if you're doing it on a little bit more on the, I guess, sneaking around, and you feel like a loved one in your house is in a moment of crisis, and you feel like they might hurt themselves, and you're having to kind of do the sneaks. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. I'm just a normal fucking human being that has unfortunately had to live through this with family members. And my point of view is, if it's going to keep people alive, then you do what the fuck you need to do. I don't know how to approach your family members. You're going to have to figure that shit out. Talk to a therapist, a counselor, talk to friends, and you guys figure that out. So I don't know how you're going to approach this. I'm just here to tell you, if you're worried about legal stuff and you still want to keep family members safe, and you really don't want to go to the gun store, you don't want to go to the police department, that type of stuff. So this gun right here has a slightly different type of lever. So this one you pull down, there's other models, has a little lever right there. And then now there is a little pin in there that you can take down, or you could just very easily press the trigger. And then when you press the trigger, all of this stuff comes apart. And then ta-da, again, you now have the stuff. Again, usually this is the one with the serial numbers. So this is the one that the ATF is worried about because it has the serial numbers. Most of the time, the ATF couldn't give two fucks about this. So now you take this and now they can't shoot the gun. So yeah, there's ways for you guys to keep people safe, keep yourself safe. If you're worried about legalities, just take the fucking things apart and take parts, take the trigger, take whatever. The point is if somebody is truly in a moment of crisis, we're trying our best not to involve the authorities. We're trying our best not to ruin people's lives in the long term, or overcomplicate. Sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to go to the hospital or whatever. Sometimes you may need to do that shit. But if we can prevent all of that stuff and do it ourselves internally, then let's do that. Again, you can go to shops here in the state of Colorado. There's many gun stores that will accept your guns. Some of them charge, some of them don't. Some of them do it free of charge. So I'm sure the money's worth it, but if you can't afford it, you yourself can store them at home. Keep the keys away, right? The Vaultek. Let me share this with you guys. Vaultek right here makes really nice technology. You can decide who has access, who doesn't. It warns you if somebody, so through your phone, it warns you if somebody's trying to tamper with it. But if you keep the code, the keys away from them, these are not anti-theft devices. That's what a lot of people think. They're like, oh, bad guy can steal it. We're not fucking worried about the bad guy. We're worried about little kids hurting themselves and people committing suicide. That's what we're worried about. We don't want that shit to happen. If you can't afford the $399 or even the $16.99 or even the $199, I think they have a section where you buy a refurbished stuff here, so worth maybe checking out. Stopbox, oh, right here, Stopbox is not a digital one; it's a mechanical one. And this one, I believe you can get two for like $100 or something like that. And this is a nice little alternative. The downside of this, it doesn't have a key, it doesn't have a code, so maybe a little bit more difficult if the person already knows the code to change that. Not super familiar with this particular product, but it might be something worthwhile. It's worth exploring, right? So the idea is, if you yourself or another human is in a moment of crisis, there's alternatives out there. There is stuff that you can do. Worst case scenario, take the guns, break the fucking law, take them to your neighbors, take them to somebody you trust, right? Somebody you trust, take the guns there and hold them there. And again, but if you're worried about the legalities, if you're like, I don't want to catch a charge, just do this. Take the stuff apart. If you need to, again, take it completely apart. Like I said, if you yourself, you don't know about guns and it's a loved one of yours that is the gun owner, there's plenty of YouTube videos, shit. Email somebody, Walk the Talk America, FIPPI, Firearms Injury Prevention. Every once in a while, you could get a hold of us through our social media, and we'll fucking do a video with you on how to take down the gun or whatever. There's plenty of resources on how to take down particular guns. So if that's the issue, like there's plenty of resources. I just want to give you an idea. A lot of people haven't even thought about this. And a lot of organizations won't talk about breaking the law, and they won't talk about taking guns apart and give you alternatives, because there is a little bit of a liability with that. There comes a risk with that stuff. And I get it. I understand, but I couldn't give two fucks about any of that shit. If you down the line were like, I'm going to sue that guy because I scratched my gun because my brother was about to commit suicide and I took his gun apart and I scratched it a little bit, I'm going to sue the guy that told me, fuck it, let's go. Let's rock and roll. I'm ready for that shit. If the ATF wants to have a conversation about why I'm encouraging people to break the law so that they don't commit suicide, fuck it, let's have that conversation. Let's rock and roll. That conversation needs to be had anyways, because it's kind of silly that there is no exemptions for moments of crisis and shit like that. So yeah, I mean, this video is mainly geared for that, is just to give you a slight idea. Nothing major, nothing big. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. This video definitely isn't to talk about the warm fuzzies. This is an uncomfortable conversation, and you may need this in the future. Hopefully you never do. But there's that information. Hopefully more people talk about this, and we get to a point where we change government and how they approach people in moment in crisis. Instead of punishing them, they kind of figure out a way to not punish it and make this, the transferring of parts to other human beings, illegal without having to go to background checks and shit like that. So anyways, I'm just ranting at this point. Hopefully this video was useful. Share it with people, tell other people about this stuff. If you're afraid to talk about this stuff, share this video with them, send it to them. The idea is we want to minimize negative outcomes with guns. This is where anti-gun people and pro-gun people agree. We don't agree on the approach. I'm more of a community level type of individual. That's why I super appreciate being part of the Firearms Injury Prevention Initiative, because it's very community based. But I think we all agree that minimizing, even ending negative outcomes with guns without restricting freedoms is what we all wish and desire. So share the video, tell people about it. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.